YB stays on your neck.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So as you've seen by the title of this video, Oscar Kaboom Rivas has responded to the Dillian Juicy White debacle, and has essentially said that he'd like to have the loss against Dillian Whyte erased from his record. So let's get into what he actually said. It reads here: "The only thing to do is wait for the International Commission of Boxing to say what's going to happen, because these are things that are really very anti-sporting," Rivas told Colombia's Canal 1. "I think yes, if they want, we will try and fight for the same title. Thanks to God, I'll continue unbeaten. The truth is, this defeat caused me a bit of distress, but the support of the people pushes me on. We have to go forward." So essentially there, I think this is obviously being converted from Spanish, I believe, or whatever language it was, they've converted it, so the English doesn't really follow, but essentially, when he says, "I think yes," he's talking about having the loss taken off his record. But you'll also note here, he says, if they want, we will try and fight for the same title. So I think perhaps he's even asking for a rematch, which, I mean, to be fair to Oscar Rivas, he's the victim here. I know we might be Dillian Whyte supporters, or there'll be Dillian Whyte supporters out there, but ultimately, he's been clean. So rightly or wrongly, a small amount of D-ball or not, if you were Oscar Rivas, I believe it should be overturned. Small or not. Dillian Whyte at this point, he's already failed one test before in the past. You've got to start taking responsibility for your actions. Now, Dillian Whyte, in my opinion, has been pretty slow to the mark. This news broke 24 hours ago. What's taking so long? Which, I don't know, maybe he's going to come out with a real strong statement. It better not be a two-liner, that's for sure. If I see a 2 or 4-liner, that's not going to cut it. Don't wait 24 hours to give us a 4-liner. If you're going to wait 24 hours, there best be some meat to the bones. Does that make sense? Don't come out with a statement like, "Oh, yes, we're very discouraged to hear this, and we'll see how proceedings go." No, that's not good enough. We need to have some juice, some meat on the bones on this one. That's my opinion anyway. But I agree with Oscar Rivas. Very respectful. And it can't be nice for him suffering his first loss. He does brush over that, saying it hasn't been very good, especially when there's a lot of controversies. Also, I'll note is this: there has been allegedly, there's been a bit of backroom dodginess going on in the actual Oscar Rivas versus, Dillian Whyte versus Oscar Rivas fight, and you'll see it on your screen now. Essentially, they played around with the gloves in every boxing fight, or especially the high-level ones. You go to, each camp can select their own gloves. The way I know it is, or the way I've seen it, there's a table and they have a big pile. There's 10, 20 gloves, and each team get to pick their gloves they'll be fighting in. And once you pick them gloves, that's it then. You will fight in them gloves. So both teams get the opportunity to check the gloves out. Anyway, Dillian Whyte allegedly chose the gloves the day before, but then when it came to fight night, they decided to change the gloves. And not only did they change the gloves, they changed it to a complete different brand. They went from one brand to another brand. And not only did they change the brand, which you're not meant to do really, normally you pick one pair of gloves and a backup pair. But both of them, the main pair and the backup pair, are both decided on that day when both teams are there to check them out. Dillian Whyte went behind Oscar Rivas' team and picked a new pair of gloves, which weren't even the same brand, and just put them on, which the other team didn't even get to see, which I think is a bit fishy. That's not very unusual. Normally, the other team's meant to watch you putting your gloves on and whatnot. And allegedly, Oscar Rivas' team have actually filed a complaint to the body for that kind of conduct. And I'm sorry, I just don't think, I agree with Oscar Rivas' team. It's not good. It's not a good look. I'm not saying Dillian Whyte cheated, but still, it's not a good look. You want to always treat people how you like to be treated. Do you think Dillian Whyte and Eddie Hearn would like it if Oscar Rivas was just picking new gloves and not telling no one and putting gloves on before people have seen? I don't think so. So it's a bit disappointing, especially when now, it's one thing, the gloves on its own might have been fine, but now you've got this business going on where Oscar Rivas' team weren't even told. And actually that moves me on quite nicely to my last point of this video. So Oscar Rivas' promoter or manager, called Ivan Michael, said 12 hours ago, which is approximately 12 hours after the Dillian Whyte steroid stuff broke, he wrote, "It is with great stupefaction we have learned yesterday on Boxing Scene the news about the testing result of Dillian Whyte before the WBC boxing title against that Oscar Kaboom. Up to this moment, nobody on the concerned parties have confirmed or denied to us this information." So he's essentially saying, just like the gloves, we weren't told they were changing gloves. Equally, we weren't told that he'd failed a test 3 days before the fight, because we do know the initial failing of the test happened on July 17th. The fight didn't happen to the 20th. So why haven't Rivas' team been notified? Now, I understand, hearing from Eddie Hearn's interview, that apparently Dillian Whyte and the UCAD had a hearing and he passed the hearing, but still, past the hearing's fair enough, fine, but still, I think you should notify Rivas' team, at least. Rivas' team, Dillian Whyte, he tested positive for a substance. However, in fact, I'd even argue Rivas' team should be able to sit in on the hearing, if I'm honest with you. If you've got to fight a guy 3 days later, if you pop for something on the 17th and you have a hearing on the 18th, I think, and that's 2 days before a fight, I think really Oscar Rivas' team should have been allowed to sit in on that, in my opinion. I think it's a bit fishy. I know the BBBOC, their policy is not to not to go forward with things until they've got a confirmed result, as in until the B sample comes back. They allow you to fight, but still, I think there should be full disclosure. I'm not asking for the BBBOC to call the fight off. I'm asking for full disclosure. People should know what we're dealing with, rightly or wrongly. Anyway, let's see where it goes from here. Do I want to see a rematch of Rivas versus Whyte? No, I don't. But if it has to happen, it has to happen. And I feel Oscar Rivas has earned that. And it wasn't a bad fight, was it? It was pretty intense. I'd rather see Wilder versus Whyte. But if this means Dillian Whyte has to learn a lesson, i.e. not to be sloppy and not to take any chances, then so be it.